All right, guys, so I am back in my kitchen and we're gonna do two activities. I'm gonna show you how to do two activities right at home and that kind of show you how animals adapt to their surroundings, okay? So the two we're gonna talk about today is birds, specifically water birds, like so ducks, geese, and then frogs, okay? So in my earlier video, I had mentioned how ducks kind of you see them kind of messing with their feathers, and I told you how they kind of activate this gland that leaks oil onto their feathers, so we call that preening. And I said that they do that so that way their feathers don't get filled or weighted down by the water, and that way they could stay afloat. So first I'm going to show you a quick video about what that looks like, okay? So here is a video, and you'll see they'll kind of just keep going back and digging in their feathers. So that's what they're doing. By doing this, they're activating and allowing that oil to get onto their feathers. Okay, so one way that we can kind of do that at home so you could kind of understand is, let me share. All right, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna take any kind of cardboard that you have at home or paper. This is just a paper bag that I got from the grocery store. So you're gonna just put them into two pieces. These are going to represent our duck feathers, okay? So what then you need to take after that is some sort of oil, okay? It could be, I have olive oil, but it could be vegetable oil, any kind of oil you have at home. And what you're going to do is you're going to pour just a little bit of that oil onto your paper, okay? You're going to spread it around with your finger, and then you could just wipe your finger off afterwards. So I want you to take a guess real quick. Which piece of paper is representing the duck's feathers? Which one is kind of representing, or the waterfowl, water birds, because all water birds have to do this. Which one do you guys think? One with the oil, the one without? So it's going to be the one with the oil, because remember we said they activate that oil. So what you're going to do next is you're going to need to get a cup of water. Okay, so you're going to take that water that you have, and maybe if you have like a small type of eyedropper, pipette, syringe at home, or even if you just want to use your finger, that's fine too. So what you're going to do is you're going to just dip your finger in the water and just make little droplets of water on both pieces of paper, and watch what happens to the paper when it gets wet. This is a little hard to see. Let me zoom in there. All right. So I'm going to just take a little bit more. That way you could just really see. So watch immediately. When I put the water on the oiled paper, the bubbles slide all over. And when I drop it on there, they kind of form, and then they start to, if you leave it for a few minutes and come back, you could kind of tell already, looking here, that the water is absorbing into the paper. So it's going in the paper, because you could kind of see it forming on the back side. There we go. But watch what happens when I tilt this oiled paper. The water just comes right off, and now the water has not gone through. And when I do that here, you see the water leave a droplet. So we'll see that again. Watch how this water, when you put it on the oiled piece of paper, it stays in its form. It stays in the droplet, but when you drop here, it will eventually start to just leak into the water. Leak into the paper, then you could just do that. And then this one doesn't even want to leave the paper. This one left right away. So that is one thing you can do at home. I will also be posting another activity below that talks about how different type of kitchen utensils can are kind of like different types of beaks, and how you could only catch or grab certain things with those kitchen utensils, just like how we talked about how birds' beaks and bills are built specially for different types of food that they get. So our next thing that we're going to be talking about is how frogs survive in the winter. Because the frogs, they don't migrate. They don't go south for the winter like the birds do. So what happens is that the frogs stay, but there is a sugar in their blood called glucose, and certain organs that has the glucose, that it just keeps them not frozen enough to stay alive. So some parts of their bodies freeze, but their vital organs, so the organs that they need to stay alive, have this sugar in them that allows them not to freeze. So that's how they stay alive. So one way you could do this at home, and it's very easy, and I did it, and we're going to look at it, is you just need 2 plastic baggies. You fill one with just plain water, and you freeze it. And you take the other one and you fill it with water and then a cup of sugar and mix it, and then you freeze them. So I did that. So I'm going to go grab them. We're going to take a look at that. Okay, so this is really hard to see over the document camera, so we're going to try and do this over. This is my camera. So these are the 2 bags of water. You can kind of already tell that this one, you could kind of almost see through it. If you have the light shining, this one you can see the light behind me. And this one is very just, you cannot see through it. So this one is the one that just has regular water in it. And if I'm squeezing it, there is no place that my finger gives in just a little bit. This is rock solid. So this would represent if a frog didn't have that glucose in their body, okay? Rock solid. This is, you hear that? Nothing, this is not moving at all. But this one represents where it has the sugar in it. Now, obviously, this isn't a 100% accurate representation, okay? This isn't a frog. I didn't freeze a frog. This is just an experiment you could try at home. So if I squeeze around, I can already, you could kind of, let's see my fingers push in. I can push in. My fingers are getting in there. Also, it's very cold still, but down here, I could kind of move this whole part of the bag. Look at, you see how it's moving around? I can move that whole part of the bag. So this is the one that had the sugar in it. So this shows you how, this is really cold. I wish I had the Crisco on my fingers right now to act like blubber. So this kind of shows you how the frogs that have their glucose in their vital organs don't freeze all the way. They still stay just a little bit unfrozen to let those organs pump, to let that blood pump so they can breathe and function so they can stay alive. So these are 2 adaptations that we talked about in the video that you guys can do at home.